Do I need this? Can you hear me fine? You can hear me? Okay. Welcome to our meeting. I was really hoping for a larger turnout, but I think our first day of beautiful sunshine and warmer temperatures, probably a lot of people said I'm staying home. I'm going to enjoy this weather. But for those of you that did make it, thank you so much. I want to begin with introductions. You all know, or should know, Marty Quinn. We have SILVANA TABARES, Alderman of the 23rd Ward. We also have George Coleman from the Chicago Department of Aviation with us. We also have Matt McGrath, PR, Chicago Department of Aviation. So you usually hear you want to stand there? And then we have Manny Perez. He is with our new mayor, Lori Lightfoot's office. Manny is here to get a beat on what we're going through and what this is all about. So I want to bring you all up to speed regarding what amounts to a complete breakdown in dialogue between Midway Defective Window Recipients and the City of Chicago and the Chicago Department of Aviation. I posted some of it on my Facebook. I don't know if you've seen it or read it, but basically the reason for this is that the Corporation Council of the City of Chicago has concluded that Midway Defective Window Recipients has retained counsel with the law firm that Ann works for, Whiteside and Goldberg, and we are preparing to file suit against the City of Chicago. Let me be perfectly clear. Neither I or Midway Defective Window Recipients has retained the services of Whiteside, Goldberg, or any lawyer. You don't have a lawyer. I don't have a lawyer to speak for me. I don't have a lawyer to answer for me. I don't. We have already provided a letter from Whiteside Goldberg to the City of Chicago that clearly states this, yet they still refuse to talk with us. This letter to Goldberg, Whiteside Goldberg, was dated 5/15 and was sent via, the letter that we got saying we have no counsel was sent to the CDA Commissioner and Kieran and Mornings in the Law Department on 5/17. Yet, on 5/17, or 5/15, sorry about my dates, folks. But on 5/17, her office received a letter from the Chicago Department or the, what do they call it, the corporate counsel, stating that, making the same claim that we're lawyered up, and that all communications by persons and organizations that are represented by Whiteside and Goldberg regarding this matter should be directed through Whiteside Goldberg to the City of Chicago's Department of Law. So basically they said now it's a lawyer-to-lawyer situation, but we don't have a lawyer. So at this time, Whiteside and Goldberg is preparing to respond in a much more detailed manner. And once again, we state that they do not represent either of us or our organization. I have no idea what more we can do. I'm sure Ann can add to that. So I'm hoping that the Chicago Department of Law Corporation Counsel accepts what Whiteside Goldberg supplies them with as proof that they do not represent us, and we can get back to properly advocating for our community where these defective, and I still believe, harmful building products that have been installed in our homes. Now, do we have copies of the letter?
I have a copy.
Okay. Well, I'll be putting it all on the Facebook page and so forth, so you guys can read those for yourself. Because, like the new mayor, we are transparent. We are telling you exactly what is going on. Okay? And we want you to see what we're getting. We want to share it with you because we're advocating. I'm not just up here advocating for myself. I'm advocating for everybody that got these windows. So let me update you on what I've learned after reviewing. Now, how many of you were at the last MNCC meeting? know it got quite contentious, and they instituted a frequently asked questionnaire that we're supposed to not duplicate the questions on, and in the interest of time and being respectful, I still don't know what that means. But be that as it may, yesterday, I went to the City of Chicago Department of Aviation website, which is Fly Chicago. And of course, you have to go to the sound insulation program, and you have to dig it out. It's pretty buried, the odorous windows. And then they've added a whole bunch of stuff, I think, as of yesterday. So you guys all need to take note of this information, but you can find it on their website. Okay? And I'll be putting it up on our Facebook page. So one important date you all need to be aware of, and that is June 12th, 2014. What is that date? That's the date Sound Solutions went out of business. Okay? So that's why that date exists. It appears that the City of Chicago Residential Sound Insulation Program in Chicago Department of Law has now chosen a cutoff date. And what that cutoff date represents is the last day that they took a phone call from a homeowner that relates to mechanical issues and whether or not you're in warranty and you qualify to have your mechanical issues addressed. So the way it reads is this, and it's a little confusing, and I'm going to get it up for everybody to see, but if you called the RSIP office between June 12, 2014 and January 24th, 19, that's another very important date you have to be aware of. January 24th, 2019 is the established cutoff date. So if you called prior to January 24th, 2019, and you were out of warranty prior to June 12, 2014, the date that Sound Solutions went out of business. So, for instance, you got your windows in 2016, right? They're 2006.
Yes.
Okay. Your warranty was a 10-year warranty to 2016. You called before January 24th, 2019.
Right.
And you were still in warranty on June 12th, 2014, so you will get your mechanical issues addressed. Very confusing. It is very confusing. Now, again, I don't know what this January 24th, 2019 date represents. Clearly, they knew that date at the MNCC when they updated us and made no mention of it. Normally, when there is a cutoff or there is some kind of a deadline, you learn about that in advance, not 4 months after.
Right.
So I have a big problem with that. So my first question to our new mayor, Lori Lightfoot, is what does this date represent, and why is this community just learning of it almost 4 months after it became effective? How do we know that the RSIP didn't receive many calls from homeowners about mechanical issues and odor issues between June 12, 2014 and 1/24/2019? And we're told, too bad, Sound Solutions is out of business, there's nothing we can do for you. How many people were turned away or dissuaded from insisting that they need to do something, that RSIP needs to do something for them? I have a warranty. And I can tell you, I know 3 people personally started calling in 2016, called again, because they knew the smell was coming off their windows. And after a number of calls, a whole summer calling, at the end of that summer, they were told, look, Miss Yada Yada, Sound Solutions is out of business, there's nothing we can do for you. So there might be a number of people out there that called before that date. They weren't making record of it because we hadn't made a stink about it yet, and are still on luck. That's unacceptable. So that's my first question to our new mayor, Lori Lightfoot. And then that brings me to one of the 35 plus questions I posted on Facebook and submitted to Ann Kiernan, Jamie Reed, and a lot of them in writing, because now we have to submit our questions in writing. But I got no response because it was used as one of the Corporation Counsel's exhibits as our proof of being engaged with a lawyer, having contracted with an attorney. And so I guess they just kind of assume that a homeowner, such as myself, is incapable of drafting the type of questions that I did. They must think it takes a lawyer to do it, and I guarantee you, every single one of those questions I built and composed myself with no help from anybody. So, which brings us to the warranty ordinance, which I'm going to talk about. And which then begs this question of the date of January 24th, 2019 cutoff. So if somebody called on the 25th, they're out of luck. If they were out of warranty, or if they, you know, whatever, like I said, the dates are very confusing. So let's talk about the warranty. And my question, it's a little big, you know, so forth, but I think it's important because we saw this ordinance as one of our wins. We actually got a law on the books that states the Commissioner of the Department of Aviation and his or her designees are hereby authorized to extend the warranty period of windows, storm doors, vinyl patio doors, and wood pine doors, and any other product installed pursuant to the Midway and O'Hare Residential Sound Insulation Program for a period of 10 years for each product. If the companies that installed the original windows and doors pursuant to the RSIP cease to exist due to bankruptcy or closing, the city shall honor the warranties and remedy any and all product and installation defects. Now, I was there when this ordinance passed. Nobody from the Chicago Department of Aviation made a squeak about it. Nobody, you know, objected to it. There's been no rebuttal to it, and there's been no efforts to overturn it or revise the ordinance. But I can tell you what I think is happening here. And it's my question, my next question to Mayor Lightfoot. Is the CDA hanging their hat on the word authorized in the first sentence, but totally ignoring the word shall, which legally and means must, no choice in the second sentence? I think they have dissected this and figured out its loopholes and are not adhering to it for what the ordinance was intended for, which I think, and another question is, does the CDA think it's good public service and is doing their fiduciary duty by not authorizing the warranty extension, as was clearly the intention of this ordinance in the Chicago City Council at the time that it was passed? Should any homeowner be left holding the bag, as it were, for the poor decision-making of those who are trusted with these funds and have impacted our lives so significantly? I'd like to know the answer to that question. Are they really doing right by the people that they are here to serve? That their main focus is serving us, not their interests, not anybody else's interests, but the people they serve, which are the City of Chicago homeowners or residents. So, my next question will begin with a paragraph that is included here in the letter from the Corporation Counsel to Whiteside Gold. And in this letter they state, as you may be aware, the city's outside environmental and industrial hygiene experts have performed extensive laboratory testing and indoor air quality testing, monitoring of RSIP windows, and have obtained a good understanding of window optics. So let's talk about that a little bit. And in my list of questions that was sent to the City of Chicago and is now an exhibit, and it's also included, that sentence is also included in their frequently asked questions, which they're posting everybody to look at and use as their answer. The statement is inaccurate and cannot stand. Only 14 homes out of 713, I think we're now up to 720, have had indoor air quality testing, which is barely 2%. 9 of these homes were tested at the end of October and the beginning of November under less than ideal conditions. We all know that. That is far from extensive. I mean, seriously, that is far from extensive. And they're misleading people. I mean, they're not giving the numbers. We've only tested 14 homes. And let's not forget the other ordinance, and hence we now have an ordinance that was passed in November of 2017. And frankly, this ordinance leaves nothing, as far as I'm concerned. I'm not a lawyer, so maybe I'm not seeing the loophole that they're using to not do the testing that they have been mandated by law to do. But it reads, the Commissioner of the Chicago Department of Aviation and his designees are hereby authorized to conduct the screening of all windows, which they do, storm doors, vinyl patio doors, wood prime doors, and any other product installed pursuant to the Midway and O'Hare residential sound insulation program that have been reported to the department as emitting odors. The Commissioner of the Department of Aviation or his or her designees are hereby mandated to immediately perform in-house testing on a minimum of 10% of the confirmed cases of houses with odors issued after the initial screening. The homeowner shall be provided with copies of final testing report by the city once the report has been completed. Now, there doesn't seem to be a loophole to that. It's mandated. You must do this. And also, the 10% number that we garnered to write this ordinance for Marty, the city council to write this ordinance, was recommended by their own industrial expert under oath at a joint city council. So now, they think they've done enough. I don't think they've done enough. And how does I want to know how the city intends to comply to this ordinance. I've insisted on indoor air quality testing in my home since day one. I want my home tested. How can I have my home tested? So now I'm going to give the floor to Ann, and then I really hope that you guys have some questions that you would like to come up here and state. And this is going to Lori Lightfoot. This is a letter to Lori Lightfoot about this issue. We need to let her know that we're not going to stand for this. And now, I'd also like to know, how do you feel about the fact that we're not really able to advocate well for you because they're accusing us of something that isn't true? And PREVENAS.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me? Perfect. There's a lot of excited children that it's 80 degrees outside, so we will let them scream, but I could not today. So, as you know, my name's PREVENAS. I am the president and co-founder of the Midway Defective Window Recipients non-for-profit corporation. Every time we gather here together, I always start off with our mission. Our mission is to provide all residents involved with the residential sound insulation program access to true and exact scientific research and results of the potential chemical exposure and potential health hazards that are a consequence of the PVC window and door products provided to the impacted communities. Our focus is to provide results directly to the community for problems that we currently face. Our promise is to guide the community through this troubling time with integrity and respect. I have to emphasize the respect part because last-minute changes to policy and inaccurate answers to questions is not respect to us as a community. It pains me to write extensive emails to remind some members of the Department of Aviation that we deserve respect. And the fact that they don't give it to us just makes me feel that, again, as time goes on, they treat our issue like it's a circus and it's a comedic event. And every time we meet, it's another point where they're like, oh, it's just them, they're Midway, it's not important. But we are what makes this community a community. The fact that we come together and our city comes together for other things when things are wrong, and this is wrong. And so when we come together and we go to public meetings that we attend every quarter, and we get a look of disgust and someone to roll their eyes at us because we are expressing our concerns, is just disrespectful. And I do not appreciate it whatsoever. I have had many email chains to Alderman Quinn and Alderman TABARES, to Jamie Reed, to Ms. Kiernan, and I think that they perhaps may have forgotten that I'm passionate about what we do. And because I work at a law firm doesn't mean that every action that I take is represented by counsel. And so clarification again on that is because of my line of work, I feel that I can advocate better. But it doesn't mean that every decision that I make here and every sentence that I speak here is on advice of counsel. And when they write letters to us, to the firm, and cite things that, again, are inaccurate, like I told Pam, it's laughable because it's just so disrespectful. And as time goes on, we have been dealing with these issues for many, many months. But even though time has passed, we will not let any opportunities pass us by. We have continued to piece together this puzzle and to strive to resolve this plague of defective and hazardous windows. We, as a team, as a community, continue to remind the CDA to take responsibility for all the components involved in our defective window and door products. Through our conferences, our constant contact with the CDA, our research, investigations, public meetings, social media outreach, telephone calls, analysis of our findings, and then our reinvestigation, we have found that the preliminary scientific results are not positive. However, we must remind ourselves that even though we may hit many roadblocks that they throw at us at every month, against every meeting, we have overcame every obstacle, and we have reached many successes. To reiterate what Pam said, our successes include screening procedures, indoor air quality testing, chamber testing of defective window products, changes to the City of Chicago's municipal code for mandatory surrender of documentation, extension of warranties for an additional 10 years, and a requirement, not an option, of a minimum 10% window testing. But even though we have reached those successes, the biggest success that we have done as a community is to make sure those who are now eligible for decibel ratings of 65 or higher in their area, that we have put a stop to this frightful residential sound insulation program. So to be perfectly clear, the CDA and the RSIP, at our collective request, put an entire halt to the program until the design and engineering of the building products is perfected, properly manufactured, and certified to be safe. We have reached successes, but we are not yet at the bottom of identifying the root cause of off-gassing windows. We are not there yet. The City of Chicago Department of Aviation is not there yet. The City of Chicago Department of Law is not there yet, but we will get there. So we, at this time, do not see a last day of a resolution of this issue, but nonetheless, we see that standing together as a community and interacting with each other will help us reach that point whenever it may arise. By doing this, by standing together, we can reach our set goals of obtaining results. Now, again, when we went to the MNCC recently in April, we always get either a report, a letter, frequently asked questions document thrown on our laps as we arrive through the vestibule, knowing that they will throw another curveball at us. And we get enough time as they go through their procedural aspects of the MNCC to look through them and then perform an analysis based on our knowledge of this issue, and then ask questions that they may or may not answer, but one question sticks with me beyond belief, because let me put this in a little bit of perspective. You wouldn't let your CTA bus driver fly your 757 aircraft, would you? No, not qualified. You wouldn't want your deli clerk to do all your IRS taxes. Not qualified. Not at all. I don't want that audit. And you wouldn't want a fisherman to design your high-rise that you work at. Not qualified. Not everyone is qualified to do a particular job. So why are we allowing the CDA officials to be allowed to play doctor, to tell us what our health is? But none of them have been boarded, licensed, fellow. No one has an MD, a DO, past their name. So when I read this particular section in the frequently asked questions, it's 7.3, and it reads, "Could you please provide me with more details regarding the latest results?" The CDA released findings by an independent expert that reconfirms that there is no evidence of health risks in connection with the residential sound insulation program, windows, or the odors admitted. Two key findings have been identified through extensive testing by industrial hygienists, not doctors, industrial hygienists at Wood. The primary source of the window odors are the PVC-coated screens and found in many window installations, and testing has affirmed that there is no evidence of health risks in connection to RSIP window products or the odors emitted. With these answers, the CDA concluded, no one that I have seen is an MD on staff with the CDA. They solely concluded, not a licensed medical physician, not a qualified person has made the determination there is no health effect. And until that happens, I still think that they're hiding it. They're purposely trying to mislead the community. And although we are not represented by counsel, my 16 years of experience in tort litigation for plaintiffs makes me believe that they're not going to produce it because they just want everyone to go away. And that's unacceptable. So I asked a specific question to Ms. Kiernan, and she demanded I put it in writing because she didn't know the answer. But apparently her as a member of the CDA collectively already made that answer. So I'm still a little weary as to why she didn't know that particular day. And my question to her was, pursuant to the quote, odorous window frequently asked questions, end quote, handout dated April 25th, 2019, page 10, subsection 7.3, please answer the following questions. Part 1, which qualified licensed medical physicians at Wood made the medical determination and statement that there is, quote, no evidence of health risks in connection to RSIP window products and the odors admitted, end quote. And part 2, please provide provide a copy of said signed physician report from Wood along with an explanation as to why this was not included with the expert's reports. I asked to identify a person. The answer that I received is as follows. The frequently asked question response is based on analytical testing results performed by Wood Environmental and Infrastructure Solutions Incorporated, formerly Amick Foster Wheeler, which used multiple lines of evidence to determine the source of odors and the potential health concerns. Investigation of the contribution and potential contribution to indoor of windows and window components include 1. Evaluation of an entire window at an elevated temperature of 104 degrees Fahrenheit. 2. Continuous exposure to intense short-term ultraviolet radiation up to 48 hours. 3. Windows were cut up and off-gassing from individual window components was elevated in closed containers at high temperatures of 149 degrees Fahrenheit. And 4, air sampling of private residence over a 24-hour period next to an odorous window, which includes indoor air testing conducted during fall of 2017 and summer of 2018. Their response goes on to read, the analytical method used by the laboratories to quantify volatile concentrations in air samples collected for this investigation has the capability of identifying, when present, more than 200,000 compounds, Wood compared concentrations of air constituents attributable to windows and applicable health guidelines, particularly the chronic reference exposed levels published by the California Department of Public Health and the Illinois Department of Public Health for indoor air. These health guidelines were developed using the best available data from a scientific literature brought by a broad base of medical and public health practitioners. In its testing and analysis, Wood was not able to identify air constituents attributable to the windows tested and consistently above and applicable health guidelines. The reports and data which the conclusions for this frequently asked questions are based are posted on the CDA website, but at the time, they were not. So, she didn't identify a person. So I sent another email, and I said, Ms. Kiernan, thank you for your response. Unfortunately, the answers that you provided do not actually answer the questions asked. Specifically noting that your answer to my question 2 has nothing to do with the context of the question. Please let me know if you would like me to break down the question in simpler terms to ensure that you, 1, understand the question being asked, and that 2, that you answer the actual question being posed. I look forward to hearing from you. And then she replies, Dear Ms. PREVENAS, we have adequately answered your questions. We understand that you may not be satisfied with the content of the responses, but that is not a valid basis for insisting on another response. Thank you for your attention, Ms. Kiernan. Well, they didn't identify a doctor. There's no licensed medical physician. So I continue to ask the question. He said, just because you don't like the answer doesn't mean I didn't answer the question. Well, when I ask you to identify a specific person, I want them to say something as, who is a member of City Council? Alderman Marty Quinn is. Who is a member of the Midway Defective Window Recipients? Ms. Pamela ZIDARICH is. That is not the answer that we received. So this runaround of we're trying to do everything we can, it's so important, it's so important. It is so important to them to not answer our questions. And these are questions that the mayor must answer for us because the departments are not answering it. And every time we come here, it just gets better and better. So yesterday, again, they have misleading information online. This is the last that I have that just stands out to me and just being so egregious. And in their residential sound insulation program issues resolution on their website, which you must navigate through very much, they write, quote, to date, The city has sound insulated more than 21,000 homes near O'Hare and Midway. Of the homes insulated, 1% have experienced mechanical issues, and 3% have experienced a confirmed issues with odorous windows, end quote. Here's the problem I have with that. To actually get a current percentage, you'd have to actually notify everyone. People are having a problem. Do you have this problem? I feel like we need to go back to first grade. Do you like me? Circle yes or no. Do you have odorous windows? Circle yes or no. And then they can take each address or PIN number, because they cannot even separate addresses and units, and they should go by PIN number and they should say, does this PIN number have it? No. And then they can get an accurate count. But because they haven't notified anyone, and not everyone speaks English, and so today for the first time, we get handouts from the CDA, and I thankfully appreciate your consideration with that. We get them in Polish and we get them in Spanish, but what's the notification in all the other languages? We are one of the biggest cultural neighborhoods and cities in the entire United States. So why hide it in one language? Make it easy for everybody to know. But they did not let everybody know. When you go up to O'Hare, and Pam and I go into the ONCC, they want us to shut up so much that the lies that come out of their mouths is nothing that they've said at the MNCC. It does not match any of the documents that they put out. And one time Pam and I and Ms. Suss's son went up to the ONCC, and it just has to stick with me because this is how much they want to hide it from everybody. And Matt, for PR, perhaps you can assist with this. When the commissioner of the ONCC saw that Pam, myself, and Mr. Suss were there to speak to the mayors and the aldermen for everybody in the noise contour area for O'Hare, they decided that they were going to violate our rights under the First Amendment of the Constitution and the Opens Meeting Act and refuse to let us speak. And we made so much commotion that they're like, fine, fine, fine. We'll let one of you talk. We're only going to violate 2 people's rights today, not 3. We'll let one of you talk. And just the fact that that occurred, it doesn't welcome us anywhere. The CDA did not welcome us. The ONCC did not welcome us. We may be Midway Defective Window Recipients, but we help all those at O'Hare and Midway, and that should not be misconstrued. So when they say that they've tried everything and it's so amazing the results, it's not. It's really not. It's like getting on your 757 airplane and you're going on vacation and you see the airplane pilot with a CTA uniform on, and you're like, oh my God, this is not a good idea. Maybe not today, not for my vacation, I'm gonna take another flight. And perhaps, since this is aviation, they need to take another flight and go somewhere else because their leadership here in Chicago is not working. They even, again, say, after I posed the question many times of who said there was no health effect, they put on their website, the 2 independent experts concluded there is no evidence of health risks in connection with the RSIP window products and odors emitted from them. So now, I got one answer from Ms. Kiernan, and now they post a different answer on their website, and the 2 just don't correlate with each other. So when we question what they do, it's not because we're represented by counsel, which is not true. It's because we're using a thing called common sense. And common sense tells me it doesn't match. It's not an answer, and it's not acceptable. So until someone can tell me who this qualified physician is that says that there's no health effect, then I'm gonna keep continuing to ask the question and ask the question and ask the question because I still don't have the answer. So one of my favorite quotes is from John F. Kennedy, and he once said, efforts and courage are not enough without purpose and direction. So we appreciate where we are in this journey, even if it's not where we'd like to be. And every meeting and every conference call and every email has a purpose. And sometimes in life, if everything seems under control, you're not going fast enough. And changes are happening because we continue to stay community strong. We go away, they're happy because the problem goes away. But Pam and I have made it perfectly clear that we're not going anywhere. So thank you all for allowing us to assist all of you on this journey. And I will hand this over to Alderman Quinn. Oh, before that, my bad. Let me give this to Pam. We have to add one more item.
I forgot to do this. As you know, they did 88 homes last year, despite us asking them not to do that. And this is the third contract that I received from the Chicago Department of Aviation to move forward with my windows. There's still about 20 people who have contracts in hand. I'm one of them. I was the first one. No, Barbara Gabbard. Barbara goes back much further than me. And it came to light in a conversation that Barbara Gabka's husband had with somebody from the RSIP is they're not replacing any windows, even though Barbara has a contract. And I've been assured by Aaron Frame on many occasions, I will get new windows. So, to push the point, I am going to execute my contract right here, right now, and PREVENAS, who is a notary public, is going to notarize it, and I am then going to give it to our friend George Coleman to take with him and present, and they're going to have to answer me if they're going to give me windows or not, because they got a contract that's signed. So let's do that right quick, okay? Yeah, I guess I'll just see if they got a contract. Ray, where's my husband? Okay, good. My husband, Ray. Yeah, Ray. Nice to meet you. Of course, this is signed by the commissioner. It still has your Evans' name on it and so forth. Go ahead. It's just one more representation of things we've been told will happen that they change on a whim. I mean, you know, if you'll all recall, was anybody here at the Kennedy Joint Council meeting? Yes. Okay, as you recall, Jamie Reed testified under oath that they were going to start with the mechanical repairs first. That would start in spring, and then they would move on to the odor issues. And anybody who had an odor issue, everybody who had an odor issue would have their mechanical issues done at that same time. But now they're walking that back and they're putting this January 24, 2019 cutoff date, which is awful. Because I guarantee you there's still people that don't know what is going on. So I'm going to sign this thing, and I'll get a copy. And then we'll see where this goes. And I think we will allow Mr. Coleman to come up and speak next from the CDA George Coleman. Yeah, I'm gonna make a photo of her. I think I turned it off. It's a little toggle.
Good evening, everybody. My name is George Coleman, as Pam stated, Deputy Commissioner of Intergovernmental Affairs, CDA. Before I get started, I wanted to acknowledge, I know it was mentioned earlier, but acknowledge Alderman Quinn and Alderman TABARES for all their hard work. So basically, I came today to give you guys a status update as to where we're at with everything in regards to the concerns with the odorless windows. The City of Chicago Department of Law has advised that CDA, and based on the abundant public statements and written materials by persons claiming injury from products installed by the Chicago Department of Aviation's residential sound insulation program, potential window-related litigation has been threatened. In such situations, in order to properly protect the city's and the taxpayers' interests, the law department's policy is to engage with the legal representatives of potential litigants through their regular process provided by the law. Moreover, wherever the potential litigants are represented or not, the law department's policy in pre-litigation situations is to ask city departments to coordinate communications through the Department of Law to respond appropriately in writing. Accordingly, we will take any questions you may have and work with the law department on appropriate responses via in writing. These responses will be placed on CDA's website, which will be accessible to all public. The experts concluded in this primary source of the window doors of the PVC coated fiberglass mesh insect screens and determined that replacement of these screens with new non-PVC coated screens provided the most effective and expedited form of relief from the RSIP odors. Accordingly, the CDA is now focused on odor mitigation and is offering new screens for homes with confirmed odorless RSIP windows. The CDA understands that there is more work to do, and the CDA and its contractors have already begun to replace problematic screens and will continue as they have committed. The CDA estimates it can be complete this mitigation is up to 300 homes per year. We have made great progress in performing repair work for windows that have mechanical problems. Beginning in January, we are performing work for windows that are within the original warranty period for a manufacturer that is longer than business. Non-odor homes with mechanical issues, 186. Number of scope development meetings conducted, 160. Number of homes with construction started, 97. Number of homes with construction complete, 77. Update on the website FAQ process to provide complete transparency and probability of accurate information. These are available in Polish and in Spanish, which I have inserted on the table in the back for you guys. And it can be translated to the website directly. At this time, if you have any questions, please put them in writing so that we may work with the Department of Law to provide accurate responses. All information will be posted on the CDA website, and that website will be updated on a monthly basis. Once again, my name is George Coleman, and thank you for allowing me to speak. Thank you. At this time, Alderman Marty Quinn from the 13th Ward would like to come up and say a few words.
Just so you know, contrary to what we thought would would happen here, which is a dialogue again, because of this conflict or the accusation that's untrue, they will not take questions or give answers. I would like to clarify, how are these people supposed to get these questions to the Chicago Department of Aviation? Can't assume that everybody has a computer. We don't have an email address to send them to, do we? I mean, do we have a street address that they can be mailed to? I mean, George, that information is really lacking.
So Pam, as a professional courtesy, once you guys get all your questions, I will come back and pick them up from you and take them to the aviation. I will come back and meet you, and I will get them to aviation.
Right, you know?
Absolutely.
They'll take them from me, though.
Okay, great.
I'm saying they'll take them from me. If I send an email with those questions from other homeowners, they'll take them from me, despite what's they're saying is going on. All right, thank you, George. I have what I want to find. All right, Alderman Quinn. Yeah, I gotta get one more phone. Okay.
I think I'm going to not use the mic if that's okay. I just have a couple of reports.
There are other people say you can't hear you, Alderman. They can't hear you.
Just a couple of reports. I think it's important for everyone to understand that as of May 21st,
It's so hard to hear the Marty.
there's 582
Your mic may
homes.
not really be on. Is it really on?
Sorry. There's 582 homes that have been confirmed for off-gassing in the southwest side, many of which are in the 13th and 23rd Ward. That's significant. So 582 homes today have been confirmed. And for me, I'm not going to lose sight on that relative to my advocacy. Additionally, there's 720 total citywide. So on the northwest side, there's homes that are also being confirmed for off-gassing. As we get into the sort of the prime time to do the testing, I'm going to be launching my outreach to make sure that the homeowners on the southwest side have an opportunity to have their windows screened. It's vitally important that we continue to talk about this issue and continue to get it rectified. Moving forward, I do take exception to the issue of the June 12th, 2014 to the January 24th, 2019 report that was here. It's a little bit unnerving when aldermen are not notified about those dates. So that's something that I'll be taking up with the commissioner. I think it's critically important that we all talk about this issue. We continue to share this information with our neighbors and make sure that these windows do get screened, and we'll continue to advocate for the remedies that are being presented. So thank you very much for being here. I'd like to ask Alderman TABARES to come up and say a few words.
Thank you, Alderman. I'm going to be very brief. I just really want to thank everybody who is here tonight listening to the #1 issue affecting the southwest side of Chicago, which is the defective windows. I want to thank Pam and Ann for inviting me here today and for hosting this. I'm here today, just like I've been when I started as alderman, is to continue to support the residents on finding a solution to fix these defective windows. I remain committed to advocate on behalf of the residents, and just want to make sure that everybody knows, I know some of you arrived late, that we have a representative here from our new mayor's office, Mayor Lori Lightfoot, who is here, who is on behalf of the new mayor listening to this issue, because this is the #1 issue affecting the resident of the southwest side of Chicago. And so I want to thank everybody who is here tonight. Thank you.
So now we'd like to invite anybody to come up to the mic, look in that camera, and ask our new mayor some direct questions about this issue. Anybody? Bojania? Come on.
I'm going to start.
Oh, that's true.
Hi, my name is Lynn. I have sort of rotten windows. I don't actually have
Speak into the mic.
I don't actually have a lot of questions, but I do have a couple statements. First, I'd like to congratulate our mayor on winning. We're all excited. Second, I would love to tell our mayor how wonderful our alderman Marty Quinn is and all his hard work, even not just with the windows, but with everything. We love our alderman. And I'm sorry, I don't really know who he's my alderman. Mrs. Mayor, as you hear some of the questions and complaints throughout this, our whole few years that we've been having, it's not an issue, do we want new windows, do our windows stink, are they mechanically terrible? The answer is yes to all those questions. What's terrible is the way that the CDA or whoever all these initials are treating us and not responding to the questions, and then have to get attorneys and questions in writing to answer our questions. I find that utterly ridiculous. There is no medical doctor saying that these windows are fine. You got some people with a degree and I don't know what telling us, yeah, don't worry, your kids won't die of breathing issues, or we won't all get cancer. We just need a break. We need to have someone physically who is qualified to let us know, can we die of cancer? Can our children die of cancer? Can we get green horns coming out our ears because no one knows what the heck the smell is in a lot of people's houses? We're not asking for much. We just want a little bit of a solution. I could tell you, Miss Mayor, if you ever walked into Pam's house, her kitchen, on a sunny day, oh my God, it stinks so bad, and it's not a pretty smell. So when you're eating and everything and you're smelling that, just please, everybody at the CDA who's ever going to watch this, take that into consideration. We're not trying to be a pain in the butts. We're not ungrateful for our windows. We just want to be sure our windows are not going to kill us. Thank you.
My name is Bojana Sus, and I'm 60 and Kilpatrick, and my windows were done in 2008. Since 2010, my windows was fixed 3 times. The last time was 2013. From 2013, my windows completely falling apart. Pam was a few times in my house. Quinn was in my house. Since 2017, I got 5 different inspection done by Midway resolution, wherever people coming through my house. And I was confirmed that smell and completely dissolving. I can open, I can close, nothing I can do with my windows. Since the last meetings, we find out that supposed to the screen was giving the smell. So I pull all my screens, all of them in all my house. And guess what? They still smells. Even today, I got hallway, and the hallway in the morning was, you can even breathe. Same in my front room. So I was promised in few times that my window would be replaced, because really they're not fixable in my mind. Guess what? No, they got now calling me, they coming and my windows will be fixed. First, they be fixing whatever is broken, and later they decide what to do with the smell. So that means, again, they be coming twice to my house, and I'm still breathing, and that's no answer. So I would like to find out why different group people coming and promising me something, and in 2-3 months I got completely different. And why they telling me that's just screen? If I don't have even one in my house, my apartment still smells. I would like to get the answer on this one. So finally, what smells? Screen or what? Thank you.
Hi, my name is Leti Rubalcaba. I'm at 5342 West 54th Street in Chicago. And my question is in line with, I can't remember her name. Yes, I want to know, how can the CDA say that the smell that comes out of my windows are the screens when there are no screens in my house? At least there's no screens in the front windows of my house, and that window tested positive for the smell twice. So again, I removed the screens and the smell is still there. So I know it's probably the cheapest route to give everybody screens, but that does not solve the problem. That's just putting a Band-Aid on the cut. And the smell is still there, and we're still smelling it and getting headaches and frustration and who knows what other things. My dad has cancer. They're saying, okay, so they're saying we have to give the questions in writing. My dad is legally blind. He doesn't speak English. He can't even make a phone call. He can't express his questions or issues with the CDA about his broken window. So how does he give the questions if it has to be in writing? He doesn't have an email. He doesn't know how to function, how to use a cell phone, or much less a computer. So yeah, I don't agree with that you have to give your questions in writing. Okay, I can help him give the question in writing. How is he going to get the answer if I'm not able to give him the answer? He can't go online to read the answer. But that is the the idea that they have. I don't agree with it. I actually think, with all due respect, I think that when you have people and you request of people to write your answer or your question, is a way to control the people and to quiet them down. Everything has to be in writing. And if I don't like this question, I delete it, I throw it away, I never got the question. I don't know, I think it's better that we be open and that we're able to express our questions, one-on-one, and have the appropriate people answer our questions.
Yeah.
If there's nothing to hide, then why are we hiding behind a piece of paper? Why do we have to hide behind a computer? Let's just be open and express how we feel, and that's how I feel. Thank you.
Yeah.
My name is Lisa Kramer. I live at 5118 West 64th Place. My mom also lives at 6315 South Laurel, just 3 blocks away. People talk about the mechanical issues, and what you need to understand, it is a guillotine coming down on your hand as a surprise. So when they just lightly use this mechanical issue, it's serious. When you open the window, the top one comes down like a guillotine because they're broke. My windows did not do that. Mine were confirmed for odor. It was horrible, horrible. I also was one of the initial 9. I thought I was part of the solution by allowing them to come in, test the air in my house, have my windows replaced. By the way, one of them was broke. And I really thought that what my contribution was to try to be part of the solution. And it seems like the air testing that they did in my house did nothing. So I don't know. My question is to understand how serious when you hear mechanical issue. It's not a latch broke or it's serious. This is going to cut somebody's hand off. And you're not even going to know because they are so heavy. And we have to remember they're so heavy because they're soundproof. And because we're not getting answers of when they're going to come, my mother has these windows, 76, 77 years old. My father's on oxygen, man. They're old. They don't have money to replace windows. They cannot open their windows for fear of it coming down. It was 84 yesterday. Please fix my parents' windows. Last we heard is they were putting the bid out to contract so they can have people come and fix it. I never had an answer. We never got an answer. Did the contract get signed? Do we have a construction company ready to go? Is my parents, it was supposed to be an order of serious. I feel like that's serious. So can we please get an answer on when the contracts, when the order, can we call what line in order we're in? Please fix my parents' windows. Please get this solved. Thanks.
Does anybody else want to say anything?
Hello everyone, my name is Elizabeth Lucizo. Hi everyone, my name is Elizabeth Lucizo. I live at 60th and Kilpatrick, which I've been a resident there since 1984. I want to tell you all that I am one of the unfortunate people who is sick. And I've been battling cancer for the last 2 years of my life. What I want to say is, when I sit in my kitchen window in the sun, I'm afraid to sit there now because it smells so bad. So I have to go sit in another room or keep the blinds down. When I go in my French room in the afternoon in the sunlight, I have to move for the same reason. My windows have not been fixed. I don't believe that the screens are at fault. If you look at my windows, The picture window, the polyvinyl carbonate in the vinyl is melted. The window is ready to fall out, and I'm still waiting for someone to come and repair my windows. What the lady prior to me talked about, the windows being a guillotine. One night, in the middle of the night, one of the windows fell down, and no one can fix it. No one can get it upright again. So I've had that window broken since last summer. I don't know what it takes for people to really take a look at the health issues involved in these windows. Polyvinyl carbonate is a carcinogen, especially when it starts to melt. And everyone with common sense knows that windows are not supposed to smell. Please help the residents in this area.
Anybody else want to propose any? Come on.
It's okay.
You got time, girl.
I just would like to invite the mayor to my house because that's two apartments. My apartment and my sister-in-law what we deal with. So I'm willing to Carabia Elizabeth too that we can invite the mayor so she can visit our house and see the windows, the smell, and what we're dealing for the last almost 10 years, since 2008. So my email, whatever you want, and I inviting mayor, so maybe this help us and finally we got some really answer and some done stuff, not just pushing us from one meeting to another meeting and goofy answer or no answers, and waiting for calls or leaving the messages completely not related to my apartment. That's completely, I was ballistic if they call me and asking for a completely different person if I'm agreed to take appointment for somebody else. So I don't know what's going on there. I'm just completely pissed off. But I invited mayor with the MARTY QUINN, with the pen, whatever. There's already 5 inspection in my house. I can take one more. Thank you.
Yep. And Annie, just for the record, at the last meeting I was at for the Midway at the, what's the place? We're not Archer. Mayfield. There's a whole group of people when you're trying to ask your questions and everything, and they're all sitting around. One of my main questions I asked after all the people were getting up and asking, do any of you have these windows? They're the one judging all our questions. None of them have these windows. So I just put that down.
Well, maybe we could ask the CDA people that are here. Oh, they already left.
Yeah, we did ask.
They read the robotic speech and left.
Well, I want to thank you all from the bottom of my heart that showed up tonight. It's a little hard to see the crowds dwindle, and I know that there's been a lot of strategic planning by the Chicago Department of Aviation to get people to disengage. The letters, the little happy letters, we've got everything under control. The day before the MNC, they get mailed to everybody. The fact of the matter is this isn't going away. If your windows are not smelling now, they will. I can't stress enough, and Manny, something you need to take note of, if he's listening, Manny. My windows were installed in 2011. They began to smell in 2016. So there's people that got windows in 2015 that my windows are fine. For now they are. And the sun exposure that these windows get is different. So say somebody has trees and maybe somebody gets not a straight sun exposure, but I believe there's a tipping point. There's a point when these windows have seen enough sun, and every window is going to be a little different, that these windows are going to start smelling at different times. I have windows that go back to 2002 that were installed by Republic Windows that are still smelling, that were confirmed. And guess what? They're going to get screens, but if they got mechanical issues, they're not going to get it. So it is a very, very complicated issue. I've been steeped in it for so long that some days I stumble over my words because, you know, I've got so much information in my head. MDWR's goal is for every homeowner, all of the 20,000 plus people that got windows, to be notified that there's a problem. If they want to set a cutoff, okay, you need to call us by such and such a date. If you don't reach out to us, then this, you know, cutoff date goes into effect. But to publish the cutoff date 4 months after it happened is absolutely unacceptable. And what does that cutoff date represent? How did they come up with that cutoff date? Does it have to do with the amount of money that they think that they've, you know, or liability that they've absorbed so far that they can't absorb anymore? Let's not forget it was the City of Chicago Department of Procurement that continued to engage with Ron Spielman and Sound Solutions after he already bankrupted one company, took $10 million of TIF funds from his factory on Goose Island, and then quietly walked over to the south side and opened up another plant and started getting contract after contract after contract, without them ever making sure that this guy was solvent, that he could support the warranties that he gave out. And it's just not, you know, Sound Solutions, unfortunately. I've got nothing good to say about Ron Spielman, but he's a scapegoat because the city talks about how they're going after his bonds and this and that, and, you know, Pam Zeckman's telling them they're going to go after him. Well, you know what? He's still in Elmwood Park selling windows with a picture of him and Mayor Daley walking the O'Hare Airport. He's still making money off the backs of the people of the city of Chicago. And you know what? He's going to continue to do it. They're not going to. They got a $13 million decision against this guy. They're never going to get a dime on it. Take my word for it. Or if they do it, we're not going to see any of it. So, Manny, I hope this has been informative for you, and that you go back to Mayor Lightfoot. I had a conversation with a gentleman by the name of Mac. I forget his last name. Are you familiar with the guy by the name of Mac who was in her campaign working for her? Because I reached out to Mayor Lightfoot through when she won the primary, or became one of the two in the primary, and a guy contacted me and we talked at length, and I've got a lot of information and I know it can be overwhelming, but I sure would like the opportunity to bring somebody up to speed besides the Chicago Department of Aviation, you know. I love my city. That was one of the first things I said when I stood up in front of our first meeting here. I love the city of Chicago. I've been around Midway Airport 57 years, my whole life. It's not about the noise. You know what? It's not about the noise. They offered these windows because keeping a viable, working middle class surrounding these neighborhoods is key to keeping these airports attractive. They don't want to be having these airports in the middle of an industrial park or, you know, in the middle of a ghetto and a broken down neighborhood. They want people to keep their yards nice and their houses nice and businesses to be attracted, and they want to build bigger hotel complexes and, you know, collect more taxes. They don't do that with people who aren't happy about living around an airport or whose lives are disrupted by the sound that the airport makes every single day. This was the reason, I mean, people fought for these, but in the end, that's the reason why they decided on doing this program, is by making it a more livable situation for the homeowners surrounding the airport. This is not a livable situation, and it's untenable, it's become contentious, it's become disrespectful, it's enough. My God, it's May 2019 and we're still, part of me feels like we're still at the beginning with a whole new administration. Rahm Emanuel never recognized this problem. He never spoke about it. I hope Ms. Lightfoot is different. I really do. I hope she sheds some light and shows the transparency that she's talked about. And I really thank you for being here.
So look for flyers and Facebook posts and emails and everything for our next get-together. Any questions you have for us, and believe me, we like writing emails, letting us. So any questions you have that you don't know if you want to ask or if the answer's out there, Pam and I have file cabinets full of information and hard drives full and thousands of documents. So we have a lot of information at our fingertips. We have a lot of resources, and it could not be done without our wonderful aldermen again. So thank you. And everybody, I hope it doesn't rain. Enjoy summer today.
I think that some people asked some tough questions. I thought that the question posed by, and forgive me, I don't know her last name, the woman who has pancreatic cancer, it was very powerful. She's not the only person we've talked to that has pancreatic cancer, or cancer for that matter, or children that have headaches, and people that have breathing issues. So I'd like to hope that Ms. Lightfoot sees this, takes it as serious as it is. Like SILVANA TABARES, Alderman of the 23rd Ward, said, it's the most important issue on the southwest side of Chicago, and that we can start moving this thing forward.
What direct action do you hope the mayor takes? Let's say this video gets to her desk and she sees all this. What do you want her to do? What's the first step?
Oh, that's a good question. Transparency, the truth. I think it's been hidden from us, no doubt. And as Ann pointed out in her very poignant and important question, what health expert made the determination that these windows have no health impact? And she doesn't have an answer to that question. And if the health experts have not been brought in to weigh in on this matter, shame on the city of Chicago. And I'd like to see Ms. Lightfoot begin there. I'd like her to get a hold of whatever we submit to the Chicago Department of Aviation, the Corporation Council, the Chicago Department of Law, that proves and states that we do not have attorney representation, and therefore continue the conversation with us and respond and allow us to advocate for homeowners, because that's been a very big part of what we do. I'm not there advocating for myself. I'm there advocating for Virginia Suss and for Letty Rubicala and for the number of other people I've, been to their home inspections or answered their questions or told them what to do next,
And you don't have to answer this one, but I'm kind of curious. With all the city's been doing pulling you around these last 3 years, you would be more than within your right to seek counsel at this point and sue the city for all this, all this stuff. Why do you choose to go this route as opposed to that route?
Well, first of all, it's a tough case to prove because there's a huge amount of money involved to get the answers that we need. Do I think that the city has some of those answers already? I do. And then you have to, think of it this way. Just recently there was an international traveler that went through, was at Midway Airport and then went out to one of our colleges and then visited downtown, and now the city was trying to find all the people that came in contact with that person because the measles is so contagious. Can you even think about how many people in the last 20 years have moved in and out of these homes? How could you ever begin to corral and notify all those people that they might have toxic exposure? And in the long run, what does that spell in dollars and to who? Keep in mind, the city is indemnified. We signed our original contract that says we do not hold the city responsible. So they are indemnified. So then we have to find, and Sound Solutions is out of business, right? He's gone, can't sue him. So who do you sue? I'm never saying that down the road there won't be lawsuits about this issue. But as it stands right now in the foreseeable future, we don't have all the pieces in place to make that play. I would much rather see the people that are charged with being the caretakers of our city and the residents of the city to be honest. I guess that's a big ask.